Aloha, I'm Paul Deloria for the Maui Pono Network, and we are here starting our interviews of candidates for the 2024 election. And I'm here with Lee Kamekona. And with me also as part of the interview will be Ann Picathry and Asia Iyer. So we look forward to, first of all, Lee, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here and have this interview with you.
Aloha, Winala. Thank you for having me.
Now, Carol is running for county council for the Kahului area. And again, I think that it's such an important office. If you could start, Carol Lee, by just giving us an overview of why you feel you're qualified for this important piece where our legislation's done, our budgets, so much of our direction of our county happens right there in the county council. Again, what makes you qualified from your perspective?
Well, having been a single mother, raising 7 children, budget is one thing that needed to be done on a single income. So that's something that I truly understand, along with having to deal with different personalities, different characters, and different points of view. So that also prepared me for having the social interaction that is needed when you're in the public eye. Also, too, being a 22-year retired veteran of the U.S. Navy and Naval Reserves, the discipline, the respect, and the loyalty and dedication that is required and taught to veterans, to service members, I believe is also a huge attribute that I can bring forward in being able to organize and work through whatever needs to be with a keen listening ear and being able to follow directions and have an interaction, not only to hear, but also to listen to what's being said.
So, Carol Lee, what was your position there in the military?
I worked in radio communications. We dealt with having to deal with ships overseas, submarines, a lot of communication, ship to ship, shore to ship, shore to shore. So, whenever the U.S. Navy needed to transmit communications, it had to go through us.
And now, as far as your experience that you have more in this time frame, what are the different committees and how are you serving and how are you involved in the county at this point in time?
Along with everything else that I have been doing the past 4 years, with the Lahaina fires, I've been involved in the Maui Housing Hui. I've also been involved in the houseless that were swept. And because of that came the Pu'uhonua Onene, which is deemed as or called the tent city that's on Hana Highway. It was birthed from our houseless advocacy that we had done. Also dealing with a hub that we had in Lahaina for supplies, necessities that our families didn't have access to because Lahaina was shut down. There were no stores available. They didn't have transportation. They didn't have funding. So we had a hub that we manned, and I was able to solicit donations and supplies from friends, both on island, off island, in the States. And I did weekly runs to Lahaina about 3 to 4 times a week for supplies, carloads of supplies.
In terms of the homeless population, how many people, Carol Lee, would you say that were part of the support that you provided?
About 150. Yeah, about 150. But needless to say, there are a lot more that need to be serviced. And I know that there are going to be if if and when elected, is to build more pu'uhonuas in the different areas of our island, so that those who are, say, in the Lahaina area or in the South Maui area, they want to stay there for one reason or another. If you put in a pu'uhonua for them, they can utilize it, and it gives them access to services, social services that they can't normally get because they don't have transportation. They don't have the paperwork that is needed. They don't have communication that is necessary, i.e. a phone or a computer access. So having pu'uhonuas would help them. It centralizes them, and then it also gives a way to bring social services to them.
Thank you so much, Carol Lee, for doing that service. Anne, do you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, thank you for your card, Carol. And I see what your values are here. That part of your platform is a diversified economy, sustainable agriculture, affordable housing, and cultural preservation. So I kind of see sustainable agriculture as a form of diversified economy, right? Because what is it, 80% of our the food that we eat comes from the mainland, right? Out or other areas. And so do you see that the agriculture, there's currently like a plan or for that has diversified, that we have diversified agriculture, since we come from a monoculture type of agriculture here?
Yes, I think we have diverted away from a monoculture, yes. However, what I would like to see more is us develop agriculture for farm to table to school. We need to get lunches for our children. Our children need better lunches than what they are getting. Most of it is not cooked meals. They're just like prepared in a central kitchen. So I would like to see us be able to provide fresher fruits and fresher vegetables for them as an option for them. Yes, sustainable agriculture is a huge necessity for us so that we don't have to pay that shipping cost. We are not servicing, or we are not providing for big corporations and their second, third, and fourth homes or their salaries. We need to take care of our people. Maui has the Āina. Maui has the land. Let's put it to good use, and let's help our people. With the Lahaina fires, it's been surveyed to maybe about 1,500 that have departed the islands within the last 8 months. Why? Why is that happening? We've got the land, let's utilize it. Agriculture, housing, shelter.
And you keep hearing about like this, that they want to convert ag land to either urban or industrial. I'm not sure what that percentage is, but you see that in some of these housing developments.
Yes, there are certain developments that I actually just testified in a couple today with the Maui Planning Commission. They would like to build a retail restaurant along with several different options of housing and or sheltering. But there's a lot of things that need to go into the thought process for doing that. It's not only putting housing, but you need to worry about infrastructure, because you need to know about the traffic impact. You need to know about the environmental impact to our to our shoreline, to our ocean and our marine life. Then you also need to worry about, where is all that waste gonna go? Where is all the water gonna come from? So there's a lot of facets that go into a development. And those are the kinds of things that need to be brought forward when the Planning Commission sees projects that come through requiring permits. Yeah. And that's why you have advocates, community advocates like myself that do attend planning commission meetings, county council meetings to keep track of things like that. But so much of that is happening and there's so little of us that we're stretched thin because they want to develop Maui so much just because we have the Āina. And just because we have the Āina doesn't mean you have to develop. Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't need to always develop.
Yeah. Well, I see you're really, because I watch a lot of the council meetings and I testify at some of them. You're very actively engaged in these meetings. You bring forth a lot of knowledge and background. So I know you're running against Tasha Kama, who's the chairperson of the Housing and Land Use Committee. How do you feel, what direction is she taking with her affordable housing in Maui?
Thank you for that question, Anne, but how about if I just ask you a question?
Sure.
In the 6 years that she's been on the county council, 4 of those years, she's been affordable housing chair. What are the deliverables that have come out in those 4 years?
Well, I see as of recent, not much, as of recent, been a lot of apartment rentals, affordable housing apartment rentals.
I've seen a few, yes, not to fault that she hasn't done anything. I think she has, but honestly, I think a lot more needs to be done, especially now because of our survivors from both Kula and the Lahaina fires. We need more action. Absolutely. 100% more than what has been done in the last 6 years.
Well, before they were affordable housing sales, and now what all you hear about is apartment rentals, affordable apartment rentals.
Rentals is a good thing. I'm not against rentals. What I ask is what I've asked the last 2 times I've ran. When everybody talks about affordable, please define affordable. Again, the median income right now in Maui at 1.3, that's not affordable. Totally unaffordable for us locals and our kama'aina here of this Āina. We need houses max 253, then maybe our residents can afford that on the 2 and 3 jobs that they have to work, because obviously the wages aren't equivalent, to our economy. We don't have comparable wages.
What do you think the minimum wage should be in Maui? What is it currently, 15?
I think it's more like 12 to 14, and it's supposed to go up to like 18 in a few years. But even at that, it's still, it's still not helping, or it's still not going to help. So an affordable wage, and I know this will hurt business, small business owners, but at least the minimum 25. At least a minimum of 25.
Thank you, Anne. And let's go to Asia next.
Hi, Carolee. It's so good to see your face.
Hi, sweetie.
Doing great. Okay, so water has been a huge issue. It's been a passion of mine. I've seen you. I've been with you on testimony and being out there, being a water warrior. But for the average population, they're unaware of what the actual problem is with water in our county. Would you give a brief overview of what are the main problems right now, and then speak to how you as a council member would approach the water issues? And I'm talking about too, like wells in Kula, they've rebuilt a lot of the Lahaina water system, but there's still issues with that because that water system's private. We have a private system over here in East Maui. I mean, it's all over the place. But if you could kind of just sum it up for us and then say how you would approach that, that'd be great.
The issue is having too many private owners that have come or stemmed from the plantation era. With EMI having such a monopoly on the water coming from East Maui, Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was okay during the time when we had the monoculture, we had sugar or we had pineapple, but that's not it there anymore. That's not an option anymore. So the diversions that have been done, they need to get cut. We need to start supplying our farmers, those who are raising cattle, our ranchers. They need the water, because with the water, then they can supply us with the food and the vegetables that's necessarily needed. There are places on our island that do not have water. And what they do is they filter water from other parts of the island, i.e. EMI from East Maui, i.e. South Maui. They get their water from us, those of us that live in the central area. All the hotels and everything that are in South Maui, all that water comes from us in Wailuku, Nawai'eha. So there is enough water. It's just the management and the delivery. Those systems need to be updated and upgraded. And I understand, I was at a town hall meeting last week, upcountry, where it was mentioned by the Department of Water Supply Director that he's looking into that, into actually upgrading the systems. And that's what's needed, because it is so outdated from the time of our sugar and plantation era. Also, too, it's a blessing for us here on Maui. Because of the fires, there's so much funding that's flowing into our island. We need the management to be accountable. We need that funding to go to an entity that is not going to hide or work backdoor deals or anything like that. We need total accountability, and we need total delivery to those that are affected, and to upgrade whatever we need to help our residents here. I hope that answers you, Asia.
No, that's great. Just a little follow-up on there. So I hear that you're saying we have too many private entities, we have too much privatization of our water systems, even though the water in the state is supposed to be public and available for public use. The state owns the water, right? And then people lease and have it delivered. Given the problems that we've had with the EMI, the East Maui irrigation system, over the last 60 years, since as the plantation system is phased out, do you support eminent domain of that system in order to get it up to the levels where they're not wasting as much water as they have been over the last few years? And how would you, if you did support eminent domain, how would you get the public behind you? Because eminent domain has it leaves a very bad taste in the mouths of the public when they speak it here. So there's some hurdles. And if not eminent domain, how do you suggest that we force the private owners of all of our water systems to upgrade?
Eminent domain works in some situations. In water, I think it'd be a tricky thing with all the private owners. What I think would work good would be like a co-op, something that and Maui County actually should be a big decision maker in this, to have everybody come together and do equitable distro. I'm not a huge fan of eminent domain in a lot of things, certain things, yes, but not everything. And I don't think in the water issue, it would be a good fit for our people.
Great, thank you for your wonderful answers. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Paul.
Carol, again, we already talked briefly about housing and some of the issues certainly that your person that you're running against has been involved in. But we're in a situation right now where we had tremendous issues and problems for such a long time with affordable housing. But it seems like there's been a lot of fuel literally poured on the situation with FEMA now and organizations like the Red Cross providing such high rental rates. And we didn't put caps on before this started. So now we're in a situation where it has escalated, and people who've had housing in one area for a long time now get evicted because now someone can come in and they'll get much, much higher rates. Or here on this side of the island in Kihei area, there's a lot of houses that are being rented, but no one's moving in there because they don't want to move from Lahaina. So again, this is such a significant issue that our community's facing. And I know, Carol Lee, you've been involved with the housing issue for quite some time. What do you suggest, and especially what would you do being on the county council to address this issue?
I would like to sit down with developers, those that are wanting to develop housing, shelter, sit with them and see what it is that we can come together and agree upon to make them affordable with not as much of a profit margin for them, by maybe providing what's the lack of a better word? I'm looking for something equivalent to waiver. What is the word I'm thinking about? Concessions, maybe, if that makes sense, is, you know, giving them breaks. If they build their shelters or their housing at a lower cost and offer it at a lower cost, then maybe the give back would be, okay, the county would provide infrastructure, or the county would provide, you know, something else. Just working in a partnership. That's what I would like to do with a lot of the developers who would like to build, but because of the cost of supplies that need to be shipped into our island, which is one reason I think we need to reforest our Āina so that we have the lumber that we can utilize to build with. Again, what I campaigned on 6 years ago, what about hemp houses? You know, we can grow hemp here, and it doesn't have to be, you know, the cannabis kind, smoke kind thing. We can utilize the hemp for building products. There's so much hemp can be utilized for, and they're strong enough for our winds, the hurricane winds that we get here, you know? So sitting down and thinking outside of the box on four walls.
Now, one approach to affordable housing is Nahali O'Malley, who looks at having affordable housing in perpetuity, where because the county, the government puts in money for infrastructure and to the initial foundations and development of the houses so that it is affordable. Is that type of model something that you would like to support as being part of the county council?
I definitely support housing in perpetuity for our locals with deed restrictions. I think deed restrictions is something that we need to incorporate. And also with rentals, we need a rental cap. Because you said it yourself when you mentioned the FEMA rent prices that they are charging, it is outrageous. And my question is when FEMA goes away and 11,000 for a 3-bedroom or 5,000 for a 1-bedroom, is that what our renters or our tenants are going to have to pay when FEMA leaves? Is that what the landlords are going to continue to ask for? We need rental cap. We need protection for our people, for our renters. I know there was at a county council meeting, there was a presentation that was done for permanently affordable rental, you know, and again, I agree with that. And I agree with perpetuity, long-term, and I also agree with deed restrictions.
Great. Thank you, Carol. Ann?
Hi, Carol. Yeah, I see one of Carol, one of your platforms here, your issues is cultural preservation. I heard so much with the lost in the Lahaina fires that was just this huge Hawaiian ohana that everybody was so close together and so many of them moved away. And the last amendment, we got the rights to the Oiwi resources, and other things about the Hawaiian culture, like the iwi kapuna, are not being preserved. And what are your feelings on that? How could we improve on that? How could we address that?
So if you're talking about just overall protection of our cultural, historical, and archaeological sites,
Yes.
what I would like to see, and this is something I'm coining, called smart development. The smart development for me is utilizing our county archaeologist. We're the only county that has one, that has been working with historic preservation in building an overlay of where anomalies are around our county. Those anomalies can be a lot of different things. They can be iwi kupuna, they can be historical sites, archaeological sites. So that overlay really provides an important facet to development. What I would like to see is developers, before they even do their mapping or their planning, that they utilize the overlay, put it on their parcel, and whenever the anomalies show up, kind of veer around it, so that when they do build their projects, they don't have to deal with community advocates like me when they go ahead and do their plans and they want to build over sites that we know are sites, we know where iwi kupuna are, but they determine that there are no significant impacts. And so they dig, and then they run into contested cases with the community advocates like myself. So smart development for me, utilize the overlay that the county archaeologist has. And to me, that'll help. It'll save money for the developers. It'll save money for county. And it'll be, I think, a quicker process permitting wise. So to answer your question, and in an overall, that's how I would see protecting our culture and preserving our historical and archaeological sites. And of course, my passion, the protection and preservation of our iwi kupuna. If you're looking at the cultural sites that were destroyed in the fire in Lahaina, what I think is, it wasn't more of a destruction, but it was more of an awakening. Because what I see is Keakua allowed that Āina to be cleaned. The cleansing of that Āina allowed the vai to return in its natural state. The diversions were taken away because the heat melted the pipes, melted the diversions. So now the waters are all coming back to where they're supposed to be. Moku'ula is a very, very important cultural and historical site for Kanaka Maoli. That was the capital, Kopai Āina, during Kawi Keoli, King Kamehameha III's reign. That was his compound. So with the fires, it has been able to clear the land. The water is coming back.
Yeah.
Yes, the muliwai is coming back. If you've seen videos or, spoken to people, that 505 Front Street parking garage. Have you guys ever been to 505 Front Street? That parking garage?
Oh, sure. Oh, yes.
Okay. So with the fire, there's water in that parking garage now. So it is exactly what I'm talking about. The water is coming back to its natural state. That was a moat, because Kauike'oli's complex were islands or moats. They were in like it was coined the Venice of the Pacific. His
Well, the
complex
word
had
I was
water.
thinking of was the wetlands, that they were restoring those wetlands.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that's good news because they covered them up, just
They
right.
filled them in.
Filled them in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Ann?
You mean Asia?
I mean, Asia, sorry.
They both start with an A, that's fine. Something I really like about your answers is that you have a lot of specifics, and I think that speaks to your involvement over the last few years. I've also watched you be an advocate for more transparent government and really reaching those people who are generally not reached through the services available in our county. I would like to know, if you are elected a council member, how you will bring the services and the benefits of county involvement to the places in our county that are not usually reached and feel neglected. That's not just Hana and Lanai and Molokai, but also some of the more rural areas of the county don't have access to services, they don't have recreational opportunities. You know, they have roads that are falling apart, and so it doesn't often feel equitable to all parts of our county and how much access they get. So how would you take your detail-minded, your specifics, and go out and bring that to the outer people?
Collaboration and networking.
Yeah.
That's the key. Collaboration and networking with the colleagues, with all council members. It's not a I thing, because there is no I in team. Yeah. The team means all 9 council members for the districts that they represent. We collaborate together and see what is needed in each of the districts. Where can we help the most people? How do we benefit them? What ways do we benefit them? And take it to the people. More town hall meetings, in my opinion, need to be had, because the community needs to know that their voice matters and it's going to be heard, and it's not going to fall on deaf ears. And I think that's where a lot of it is, because it shows in the polls and the amount of people that vote, because a lot don't feel that their voice matters or their voice counts. So elected officials need to get out, need to be able to speak to their constituents more, I believe, than having to sit in council. I understand that the current housing and possibly infrastructure chairs of the council are looking to cut budget for our parks and our community centers. That was something that I heard in the town hall meeting that was held in Kahului by the chair of the housing and by the chair of the infrastructure committee. They're taking away a lifeblood for our community. Why? You take and take and take from our people. Again, their voice isn't being heard. They're not being listened to. That's how I would address the issue when I am elected.
That's great. So, I'm not unmuted. So would you say, do you see yourself as the council member who is out there at those community meetings and town halls? Because some of the council members, even though they've been in for a while, including someone who you may or may not be running against, are rarely seen outside of the council chamber. So do you see yourself as that council member that is heading out to visit all of us out here Not
Hey,
just your area too. Yeah.
Asia, you know me, I'm not a council member, but I'm out there.
Yeah.
I'm out there making sure that for those who aren't out there, my voice is their voice. I am their vessel. As we are the vessel of Te Akua, I am their vessel, their voice, their ear. So I can explain, I can communicate, I can educate, and I can make aware as many of the public who follow me on social media, who I speak with in my circle of friends, they know what's going on.
And I can speak to that because I do see you out there, and I know that. I just wish that other people could recognize that, and hopefully they're out in the public enough and recognize you. So thank you for your tireless work, even not as a council member, out there as a volunteer and as a community advocate. All right, go ahead, Paul.
Okay, I have my last question has to do with a follow-up to what we were just discussing about the county council and the way it is at this point in time. Certainly, it's been a shift from when there was a majority of progressives who were there in the county council. Now we have a majority of candidates who seem to be supporting big money interests. And what are the things that were recently done with this county council, this existing one, that you see is really against the people in the Āina, and certainly though maybe support big money interests? So what are some of the major decisions that were made along this line that you would like to see different than what actually passed? Or maybe something that didn't pass that should have passed?
The most recent is the stance that county council took with regards to the mayor's recommendations on boards and commissions. I believe that was done in an error, because if you actually count, I think they were he was within his 30-day deadline, or he was in his time frame, I should say, his 60-day deadline prior to the expiration of the term of the board and commission members. But his recommendations were ousted because the committee decided that they were going to come forth and do a whole new slate and provide that slate. So case in point would be one person that was submitted by the mayor on a certain committee, and yet the council didn't even recommend that person. They went with a totally different person whose connection was with big money and development.
There you go.
So that, I believe, was an error on the county council's purview.
Just to let everyone know how important these different boards and commissions are. We have over 33 in our county, and this is like a third branch of governance. So those who are selected to the Planning Commission, Police Commission, it's an extremely important post. And to have then this type of thing happen, where we were trying initially when we passed the charter amendment, so that this would not happen where big money interests come in, that it would really represent the people in the Āina and be balanced. But again, with the way the county council is right now, what I hear you say is that balance is not there at this point.
Well, so let me give you another example, Paul. Last election cycle, with the charter amendments that were approved, there were departments that were voted upon to be enacted. There was commissions or boards that were voted upon to be created. We are 2 years down the road. They are not, or they have not been acted upon. More so, they're not even being budgeted for. Budget is being taken away for these entities that we, the constituents and public, voted for. So is that right? To take our voice and discard it as if it meant nothing? And that's why I say a lot of people don't vote because they don't believe or understand that their voice is means something, you know?
That is quite shocking because again, I very much myself immersed in that whole thing with the charter amendments, and to see this type of thing happening is very discouraging. And I think again, it has to do again with that majority within the county council. And so we'll just leave it as that, and hopefully the listeners and viewers can take that into account as they look at voting and making sure that they look at candidates, the Ohana candidate slate, or those that support the people in the Āina, I think is important. So again, let's, if there are there any other final questions we have of Carol Lee? We've been going on for almost an hour now. So
Carol Lee, I don't think you mentioned like certain organizations that you're affiliated with that you served on. Was it Sierra Club and was it Maui?
No. I am a board member of Kahului, Ka'ahumanu, Chapter 4 Wailuku. I am a board member of Malama Kakanilua. I am a board member of Maui Tomorrow. I am a board member of Ho'oponopono o Maikena. I am a member of Ahamoku o Wailuku. I am a member of Ku'e Petition Continues. I am a member of the Maui Housing Hui, and I am a member of the advocacy for our unsheltered.
How do you remember all that? How do you keep all that straight? That's impressive. Okay.
It's my passion, basically. Our lahui, our
Well,
people.
I admire your conviction and commitment and courage.
Thank you.
I just have one final, just kind of question. Something, and we've known each other, been friends for a few years, but I just today, as I've heard you answer these questions, I've realized like you, your life has really been kind of these three parts of you, where you are a mother and grandmother of a very large, beautiful, and active family. You've had a long and very intense and intelligence requiring professional career, and you have been so community involved, just absolutely, like you said, you love your people, you love your neighbors, you love your community, and in my experience, you love everyone. Like your community is your community. Like there's no one like they're not a part of my community, even the people that you disagree with highly. So I wonder, as you come to this point and you're running this campaign, which I know more as much as most people, how much it takes out of you, is there anything that you feel like that's hard to represent about yourself to others, like that you just really wish that they knew about what encourages you to get back up into up onto the stand and go for this again? Why are you so passionate about helping our county?
Thank you for that question, Asia. Honestly, because of the injustice that is being done to our people, plain and simple.
Well, we appreciate
are not being cared for as we should be by our elected officials.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for running again. Thank you for just being that stalwart guardian of all of us in your community. We really appreciate you, and I wish you the best in this election, of course, for this campaign.
Thank you.
and I think that goes for all of us at the Maui Pono Network, that we wish you the best in the election process. And again, your background, how you participate, how you get involved in our community in so many different ways to help us out, really shows through your action where your heart truly is. So again, I hope people take that into account also as we move forward with this election.
Mahalo plenty. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Good night to each and every one of you. God bless. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.